Hello, everybody. Good evening. We're several minutes late. We're 7 minutes late. That means there is good news and bad news. The bad news is I was 7 minutes late. I'm very sorry about that. The good news is our audio troubles should be over. I am clicking a couple extra buttons here. We've had some audio challenges here the last week because we've been moving over to a new broadcasting system. Actually changing operating systems and everything. It's been kind of intense. Thank you for bearing with us. This whole project is these are the least of our challenges. This is a labor of love. Thank you for your patience. But the good news, again, I repeat, the good news is that we should have solid audio the entire night. It seems like that is the case. We are supposed to be smooth sailing. There may be a couple of connections to make at the top, but there should be no dropouts. That is the sound of toast. That's what it sounds like when I make a joke. These are the tests. Everything seems to be working. Okay, we're good. It seems like we're good. We've had so many audio issues here the last few streams. Thank you guys for your patience the entire last week, not just tonight. My goodness. This should be a lot more smooth sailing now. I'll go 7 minutes longer tonight. I can promise you that. Everything is firing up. I really hate being late. I'm pretty punctual. In real life, that is. Okay. Beautiful. We're looking like we're in good shape. All right, you guys know the drill. We'll be here for the next couple of hours, taking calls. Phone lines are opening now. Real quick, before we dive into the calls, I do want to announce something. I hope this isn't bad news to you guys. I'm hoping it's actually better news for you guys. There will be one, I'm announcing officially, there is going to be, at least for the time being, there is going to be one less anonymous live stream per week. There is so much going on this channel. There's so much in preparation. I hope that's good news to most people. And I am so spread thin right now that I need my Sunday night back in order to keep things going on this channel. You guys and everybody else subscribed here that's still watching has been asking for years for more stuff on this channel. Of course, I started with Anonymous Live 4 months ago, and we've been going strong. I really need my Sunday nights back in order to make more things happen here. I am so spread thin right now. It is unbelievable. I was just talking with my mods in the Discord server a few nights ago, telling them how I was explaining to them why certain things in the Discord have been so late. I was 7 minutes late tonight. I mean, most of the time here on Anonymous Live, I'm a minute or two late anyways. And I try not to do that, but it's just like, that's literally my life right now. I need my Sunday nights back in order to make other things happen here. I was joking with my Discord mods that I don't even have a to-do list anymore. I only have a to-don't list. And it's not even a joke. It's totally true. It's like, what won't get done today? So we will be doing away with Sunday nights on the Anonymous live stream, just for now, at least. I'm not sure if it's a permanent thing. I really wanted to do 3 times a week here, and I hope that once things are up and running and a little more taking less time from me, I'm hoping that we could reintroduce that third stream per week because I really do like doing it 3 times a week. Every night we do it. There's callers calling in. I don't want to detract from any of that. So yeah, that's, I hate to say that, but it is for the ultimate good of the channel. And I hope you guys understand why I'm so spread thin right now. So there it is. After tonight, we will be back next Tuesday. We will be this coming Tuesday, to be clear, next week, but this coming Tuesday. So we will be doing away with Sunday nights, and it'll just be Tuesdays and Thursdays from here. Just for the time being is my hope. These streams really are the highlight of my week. These are the favorite. This is literally my favorite thing I do each week. These streams. So my goal is to reintroduce the Sunday stream eventually, but for the time being, okay, I've said enough words. You guys get the point. All right, everything seems to be opening. Everything seems to be good. I'm checking a couple of lines here. You're gonna hear an audio test here.
Welcome to the 8x8 audio testing service.
Yeah, did you guys hear that? That means the phone lines are working. Okay, great. I'm so amateur. I'm testing stuff on the fly. This is my life right now, guys. This is my life. I get everything set up, and then I'm like, yeah, it should be good. And then we go live, and I'm testing crap. Isn't that hilarious? I'm so amateur. Goodness gracious. All right. Catching up on the chat here. Dillian Gant says, I am new to you. I don't know what that means. That's kind of creepy. Last week, or sorry, 2 nights ago, what's today? Thursday or Tuesday? This is also my live right now. This is Thursday. Yeah, on Tuesday when we did the stream, we had a slow start. It's okay. There's no pressure to call in. We wait here as long as it takes. I'm going through the chat. Seth says my facial hair looks downright robust. Should I shave this? What do you guys think? Should I shave this? Should I keep it going? I don't even know. Some people tell me I should go babyface. Some people tell me I should leave the beard going. I don't even know. Yeah, I see that from Sonohead. PC, no more Mac. This pains me, actually. This grieves me. I'm probably the longest running Mac user in this chat, would be my guess. My first Mac was in 1991. It was a black and white Mac Classic. I didn't even buy it. I was 4 years old, but that's what I grew up on, guys. I've been on Macs since before they were cool, so you'd have no idea how much it grieves me to switch over to this PC. The truth is, though, it is handling the stream much better. I hate to say it. I hate to admit that, but it's so true. These are the facts, guys. See what happens. Seems like the audio is better. I found out the reason why it was cutting out. It was operator error. The reason it has been cutting out the last week and a half. Well, to be clear, while I was on the Mac, it was the Mac's fault. I kept bumping the Thunderbolt port. I kept bumping my dongle. I couldn't help bumping the dongle. So, but yeah, the entire time I've been on the PC, there was a couple boxes that weren't checked. It was my fault while I've been on the PC. It is what it is. I confess, it was my fault. I'm really sorry. Everybody always comments on this milk carton. That's why I have it here. Isn't this thing so cool? Somebody made this for me. Okay, some calls are coming in. Let's see, I'm going to answer this one.
You talk with me?
Hello, thanks for calling.
Okay, some calls are coming in. Hello.
Hi, thanks for calling.
Hello. Hi.
Can you turn your speakers down? We're getting some feedback.
Hello.
They hung up. Wow. Wonder if it was a troll. It didn't sound like a troll. Maybe there was an audio disrupt or a call disruption. Let's see what happens. We'll hang here. Maybe they'll call back. I'm just catching up on the beard comments. Do I look homeless like this? Does this look homeless? Or is this just mature? I don't know. I'll tell you what it is for sure. It's definitely lazy. That's what it is. Way easier for me to go with a beard. Also, I have an abnormally small head. I don't know if you guys can tell that through a camera, but my head is abnormally small. Of course, my entire body is disproportionate. I'm 6'2", and I weigh 146 pounds, and I have a small head, so you can't even tell because I'm such a rail. So, I don't know. Does it make me look homeless? Does it fill out my face? Does it make my face more proportionate? I don't even know. I don't even care. This is what I have right now. This is laziness, guys. That's what this is. I guess that last caller didn't really intend to talk. It's no problem. You guys, while we're waiting, I'm just going to say, you guys are not prepared for what is about to happen on this channel. I'm not going to say that officially in a standalone video where everybody else watches. I realize this is a small group here. These are people that aren't just dedicated viewers. The people here are people that are more than dedicated viewers. These are people that care about the community at large. So I'm just about to say, you guys have no idea what's about to happen. There is some stuff I'm really excited about to announce. And that's why I need my Sunday nights back. So, buckle up. Some stuff's about to change. Delta 188 wants me to play the chicken strip soundboard. You guys, I don't know. I guess Delta 188 might have been in the Discord the other night. I popped into the Discord on Tuesday night after the stream for a few minutes, and I was showing off my soundboard. You guys, I have the biggest soundboard on planet Earth. I was showing it off. I've got like 53 gigabytes of sounds I was discovering, and I was prompting everybody in the Discord to send me sound effects, and I would play the requested sound within 10 seconds. And the one sound I didn't have was that chicken strips meme. I guess Delta was in the chat and heard that. I must say, I went back after that chat in the Discord and looked up the chicken strips meme to understand it. I don't think it's soundboard worthy. You guys can call me a Scrooge. I don't think it's soundboard worthy. I don't even know how popular it is. I don't know how many views that video has, but it did get a laugh from me, but I am not putting it in my soundboard. This is how behind I am in the chat. Sonohead says, I had a teacher who would only cut his beard when big life events happened, like when he got married or when he had his first kid. So does that mean he got married a lot? Or does that mean he only shaved twice after getting married? Or I don't know what that means. That could mean he either shaved all the time or he only shaved twice. I don't know. 2 bagels, yeah. The secret is letting it get a little bit longer than stubble. If it can get a little longer than stubble, then it doesn't itch anymore. Now it's just warm. Now it's actually impractical. It's so hot where I am. This beard is actually impractical. I was wearing sweatpants today, and I stepped outside, ran a couple errands, and I was like, I am actually wearing sweatpants right now. This is unbelievable. I can't believe this. I'm such a dork. Okay, here's a call coming in. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
I've just been thinking a lot about the past few years that's happened to me. Like, I guess I just, I feel like my mother was kind of just like cut me out of her life for someone else, specifically her boyfriend. She chose him over me multiple times, but she likes to say that she loves me and stuff. But with her recent actions, I don't think she still does.
You dropped out for a second. Can you repeat that? Who chose their boyfriend over you?
Her mother did.
Your mom chose a boyfriend over you. What did that look like?
Well, what happened was her boyfriend just hates me for some reason. I never did anything. I was always considered a good child, but then when he came into my life, he despised me for no reason, and I guess kind of abused me, emotionally more specifically. And my mother was just a bystander. She would like say that, oh, this is not okay, I don't agree with this, but she wouldn't do anything about it. And I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore, Mother. I have to leave. Like, this is horrible for me. It's just ruining me. And she was like, no, I'm not leaving him. And like, I asked her, at some point, I mean, like, she'd choose my side sometimes in fights and break up with him, but she always ended up getting back together. And at some point, I guess she finally had enough, and she ended up sending me away with my other brother. And she eventually followed about like 3 months later, but then he came down to where she was, and she went back up with him, and hasn't called me or texted me since.
My goodness. So not just you, but also your sibling. Your mom kicked you out?
I guess, well, she said, this is only temporary, I'm coming back for you, because you're not living with your brother. Your brother's not going to raise you, but she's calmed down multiple times, but that was for weed, not for me. But even then, I've told her no multiple times now, and, like, I'd explained to her, because she doesn't care about how I feel. She says I'm going to go back to them whether I like it or not, and she's expecting me to forgive her boyfriend for cheating like this, and I've kind of said no, because he's nearly 50, and I don't believe he's going to change. I don't think he loves me. He never did to begin with. And she's really mad at that, and she likes to say that I'm just disrespecting her online.
How old are you?
I am 15. I'm going to be turning 16 in a few months.
My goodness. And you're living with your
Yeah.
brother. Is that right? And your brother is of legal age?
Yep, he is 24.
I see. That must be why your mom said your brother's not going to raise you, I guess.
Oh,
Because your brother's an adult.
yeah. She just doesn't, because with him raising me and my brother, it just makes her look bad. Because our whole family knows what's going on, and she doesn't like that, because it makes it look like she abandoned us, for him, which she did, but she continuously denies that.
Is your dad in your life?
No, he's not. He died when I was 7.
Oh my goodness. And your mom is out of town with some boyfriend, and I guess it sounds like she moved out of her house and told you had to move in with your brother. Is that the deal?
Well, they're moving. They moved. They're in a different state. She put me with my brother in a different state because she was going to join us, and she did, but she, like I said, she left, and she went back to the same area she was in, and she apparently has rented a house for us to come live in, but she still hasn't come and got us. She's realized that I don't want to go up there because she was here last month, like near the end of the month last month, and she knows that she still has my brother, Roman. He doesn't hate her, but he also doesn't live with her still, but he doesn't know how to say that. And so she managed to get him. He's still here right now, but she said that she wants him down there for 2 weeks to come visit. And when she said that, she looked at me and said, "I'm not even going to bother asking you." And then went back to talking with him. She just kind of ignored me the whole time after she got done yelling at me with me disrespecting her online.
What did disrespecting her online mean?
Well, I didn't disrespect her. I just told her how I felt, which I kind of just repeated what happened up there and kind of told her up front, like, you never cared about me, you're never going to. And she was just acting like the victim. And I was telling her just everything that's happened to me and everything that kind of like what it's done to me, and how she just turned away to the side, and she just calls it disrespect, and that we know how to hurt her by saying we don't want to go back home. She chose not to acknowledge what I said to her, and just got mad at me for saying that if I want to live with her again, because I told her that the only way for me, because I said, due to him, she ended up getting rid of all of her relationships with nearly everyone in her life. She doesn't have any friends. The only person she talks to is her mother, and then her oldest son, which calls her every now and then. That's the only people she has. And I said, if you want me to forgive you, because they're not going to, no one else will, because she's already had the chance to redeem herself, and she threw it away. I said, because I'm most likely the only one who's going to forgive her. I said the only way for that to happen is if she breaks up with Donnie. I mean, with her boyfriend.
Oh, is that a legal name? No names here. No names here. Is that a legal name?
No.
Okay,
That's
please no more names. That's for you. It's it's for you. It's for your family. Boy.
I know. I'm sorry. Tell. I was trying so hard, but don't worry, it's not a legal name.
What is the okay, so I'm gonna be very frank. Your situation sounds intense. It sounds like your mom, what you're saying about your mom, it sounds concerning. If she's burning bridges with friends, and she's like the only people she's talking to are like her mom and her older son, and she's like burning bridges and leaving town and leaving her kids to fend for themselves. Like, none of that sounds good.
It isn't.
At the same time, I have a question for you, and I hope you don't think I'm trying to fight with you here, because I'm not. I'm just trying to understand. You mentioned that you said some things to her online, And I'm wondering, were the kinds of things you said to her online the kinds of things that maybe would have been more productive to say in private to her? In other words, is it possible you said anything to her online where other people could see it that put her in defense mode or
No,
something
we
like that?
weren't. We were by online. I was just kind of going off of what she said, her words. Because she said I disrespected her online. By online, I meant I was just texting her through our private text messages.
Okay.
Sorry if it wasn't specific enough.
So it wasn't like on Facebook or something you were saying these things. It was a private
Nope,
message.
it was.
Yeah. That my goodness.
I know. Everything just went downhill when my father died. I kind of had to step up my role and take care of my siblings because I have two older siblings. They moved out because they couldn't handle it. So because I was too young to move. I still am. I was stuck there with those two, and just kind of because she was always a drinker, and so she kind of locked herself in her room every day, and it was just me taking care of the house and my siblings while she got drunk every day.
Oh.
Yeah, and then she found her boyfriend and moved us all away. We moved around a lot until they found a job with a lot of money and stayed there. And then I didn't say anything, but he had his daughter move in, which just caused a lot more problems. She just lied about everything not even that I said, she just lied about everything I did and stuff. And because that's his daughter, like, he had to have known that she was lying. He just was trying to do everything possible to get rid of me, because he specifically said to my mother that either I go back somewhere else or he leaves her. And of course she chose me, but I still ended up leaving at some point, and he still stayed with her.
Was your mom always this way? Or, in other words, when your dad was alive, was she this way?
I don't remember a bunch from when I was younger. I do know she was much more loving and more of a mother. They both like to drink, but I don't remember them ever getting drunk or anything. My mother says that he was abusive towards her, which honestly they're just both really aggressive when they're drunk, so they kind of just fist fighted a lot. And they were both alcoholics, and then my mother just got worse after he died. So, yeah.
My goodness. That sounds heavy. That sounds intense. I'm really sorry to hear about that story. My goodness. Are you in a safe Are you in a safe place? Are you safe with your brother?
I am. He said that if I want to stay here, that he can do everything in his power to make sure I stay here. The main reason that I haven't gone back is because my mother is afraid of the repercussions when it comes to legal standards, I guess, because she is committing fraud.
She's committing fraud?
Yes, with the money.
Mm.
The money that she gets from us, that's supposed to be used for us and stuff, doesn't go to us.
Oh boy. So she's literally just ghosted you guys.
Yeah. She expects me to call her and stuff, which I don't think should be on my part. I think her as a mother, she should be the one doing that.
I'm going to be honest. You're the kind of call that you're calling in with is really difficult for me because I don't know your mother. I don't know you. All I know is what you say. And
Mhm.
but based on what you're saying, it sounds like your mom is really unhappy and really confused and really acting irresponsibly. Uh, I'm really glad you have a brother that's taking you in and making sure you're safe. I'm glad you're in a safe place. But I'm so sorry to hear about the stuff you're saying. I mean, that's really intense. Your mom uh, does not sound happy. Your mom sounds beyond not happy. Uh, when was the last time you talked with her? Like a real conversation?
Um, like no fighting, no nothing.
Maybe
Um,
with fighting or without. When was the last time you guys had a real conversation? When was the last time you were in the same place or talked for a long time?
uh, last time here, hold on, I need to. It was last month at around, I'd say it was on the 26th. Yeah, I was on the 26th.
Okay, so about 3 weeks ago.
hmm That's because she came down here where I am.
To get weed?
She said it as to get me. They probably got weed at the same time because they did go over to get some, but she didn't take anyone. But it was honestly she was just trying to threaten us and scare us. Although she didn't make any moves.
I'm really sorry to hear your story. What would make this a good call for you? Or is there more you want to share? Is there um, something you want feedback on? There's a bunch of stuff in the chat. I'm not sure what to touch on specifically yet because I'm just still listening. Um, what would make this a good call for you?
Well, I guess I just honestly needed someone to talk to because I mean I do have friends, but I feel like this is just something they can't handle or they wouldn't be able to help me on. And my brother, he just can't express emotions, and he said himself he's horrible at comforting, and I just needed to say it to someone. So all in all, this is honest. You showed that you were listening, so it's already a good call, and I appreciate it.
I don't know what the answer is for you. I mean, you are 15 years old. Your mom is acting recklessly. And it sounds like when you guys do talk, it's not productive. I'm really sorry to hear all that. You know, you're very young to be going through something like this and to be realizing the things you're realizing about your mom. I'm really glad you have an older brother. My gut says that it sounds like you're in a really safe place. It sounds like you're in a really good spot considering the circumstances around your mom. It sounds like you've got
Mm-hmm.
your brother in your life and that your brother's pretty solid. But it sounds like you're trying to figure out life as a teenager in a lot of ways without any parents. Do you have any parental figures in your life that are like maybe friends of your parents or just older people in your community that have kind of been there for you as parental figures?
Well, I guess I do have a friend who I appreciate their parents. I haven't said anything, and I guess maybe they just don't see me in that way, but they do kind of know some of my situation, really just with who's my parent and stuff, and they kind of treat me, I guess, like the mother is stern with me, I guess, and I guess, bold and like it's like how a mother should be, and I like it. And then their father is also really kind and treats me really nice, and but they don't know it, but I kind of wish they were my parents and look up to them. And I'm hoping to get closer to them.
You probably need some kind of parental figure in your life. Of course, I don't know these people. I don't know if they are, I don't know what they're like. I don't know if they're a good influence. It sounds like they have made a positive impact on you, a positive impression at least. But I do think if you're without both your parents, I mean, you're 15. You're in very formative years. It would be good for you to have someone in your life that can be a parental figure. Of course, I don't know you. I can't tell you who specifically that is, but
Of course,
when I was
yeah.
your age, what's that?
No, just I was agreeing.
Yeah. When I was a few years older than you, I had some parental figures in my life. My parents were in my life at that time too, but I also had some parental figures in my life who were, they were honorary parents to me in my late teens. And I do think that it's great you have somebody like that. Have you thought about talking to them and telling them how much they mean to you in the absence of your own parents?
I've thought about it, but I feel like, because I haven't seen them that much, I've just seen the way they treat their own kids and the way that they somewhat treat me, that it's just something I would want. And I've told my friend that I'm actually quite jealous of them because they have everything I want, which they took as a compliment, which I was going for. I was thinking of just telling the father because I know the father more than the mother because he used to teach me when I was a student.
When you were a student, are you not in school anymore?
I still am. I moved schools, and so I was one of the students before.
Oh, I see. You were one of his students. I see. So he was your teacher. I mean, yeah.
What?
I mean, if you've got history with these people and they've made a positive impression on you, maybe it would do you a lot of good to I mean, you're young. I don't know if, I mean, at that age, maybe it's unlikely you could, I don't know if you have a job. I mean, if you were an adult, you would ask them to dinner or ask them to lunch and, pay for their food and tell them how much they've meant to you. I don't know if you have money. I don't know if that's an option, but it sounds like the next time you have the chance, you might open up to them and just say, look, like, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm going through a lot. My dad's dead. My mom's been gone. I don't talk to her very much, and I've noticed the way you guys raise your kids, and it's impacted me just watching the way you guys have raised your kids. Maybe some kind of conversation like that would go a long way with them. Maybe a conversation like that would bring you guys closer together. And, of course, nobody can replace your parents, but if then maybe they could be like honorary parents.
Yeah, I like that. I might do that. I might actually do that. That's a really good idea.
You need somebody in your life at that age. You're so young. You need somebody in your life at that age who can, I'm trying to think, like, what are all the things that is parenting? It's love. It's setting an example. It's teaching discipline. It's teaching respect. It's teaching work ethic. If your mom is not able to be that for you, opening up to somebody that you're really close with in that way might be really fruitful for you. And maybe, I bet it would mean a lot to them if they really care for you. And if you've got history, if the dad of this family was your teacher a while back, then, like, I'm sure that would mean so much to them.
Yeah. Because he is a really sweet guy. Yeah. And yeah, he's letting me call him by his first name, too. I honestly kind of just look for people, like not necessarily friends or family. I kind of just look more online for people respectable and people I like and look up to them. And I even use my mother as a reference. I look at her and pick apart what I like and what I don't like, and then I kind of apply that to my life. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to be, and this is also what I don't want to be. So it's a pretty negative situation, but I try to see the positive in it too. So it doesn't really ruin my life. I may have been emotionally abused, but I'd say I'm really strong mentally. And because I've been called a bunch of names by him, but in the moment, obviously it affected me because it hurt to see that he genuinely thought that about me. But now, I mean, like, I know what's true and what isn't, so I can just ignore it.
Right. When are you going to try to talk to these people? Sounds like that's a conversation that needs to happen. It sounds like it'd be good for you. It sounds like it would be meaningful to them. When are you going to talk to them?
Well, I saw them yesterday, and I guess, if anything, I'd have to have maybe another sleepover with my friend, or I'd have to go over to their house when they're not busy and home. And I'd like to get them on a one-on-one, but it just seemed awkward to ask for a one-on-one. So if anything, I'd say in a few weeks.
And what will the next few weeks look like for you?
Relaxation, just staying at home, relaxing, not doing much, and then hanging out with my friends at least once a week. Not too much because I don't work.
Right. There's a book that I want to suggest you read. Are you a good reader? If I suggest a book, will you check it out?
I will.
There's a book called, now you're pretty young, so I don't know how dense of a read this will be for you, but this certainly applies to you based on what I've heard. It's a book written by a PhD psychologist. It's called Running on Empty: Overcome Your Childhood Emotional Neglect. It's a book about growing up with emotionally unavailable parents. And this is a book like, it's written by a PhD. I think the target is grown adults, but it might be good for you to read it. I'm concerned that you don't have an adult in your life, like a good parental figure in your life. So I'm recommending this to you, not knowing if everything will get through or if it's too, I don't know how dense it is for someone your age. I mean, I've read it, but I don't know. I don't know what it'll be like reading it as a 15-year-old. I'm putting this in the chat for you though, because I do think it's applicable. Maybe it's a book you read now and read it again in 5-10 years. Yeah, I think it could be really good for you to at least get some of this perspective. I'm putting it in here for you. Stand by, getting the link. If you look back at the chat from this part of the call, you'll see the link.
All right. Well, I'll definitely check that out. Would you do you think you could find it in a library?
You could definitely find it in a library. Absolutely. It's written by Jonice Webb and Christine Musilo. Put those in there for you too.
All right. Thank you.
I'm really sorry to hear your story. That's a lot to be going through. But I do think that it's great you have your brother and some honorary parental figures that you already look up to. To recap, I think reaching out to those people, those honorary parents that you look up to, and just telling them a little bit of, you don't want to like make it heavy on them, but you don't want them to think they've got to you don't want to overwhelm them, but telling them how much they've meant to you and how much you've seen the way they raise their own kids and what that's meant to you in light of your own experience. I think that would mean a lot. I'm really glad we could talk tonight. Is there anything else that's on your mind in closing that you didn't get to say before?
No, I think that's really all. It was just a lot for me to handle, and then just bottle up for so many years.
Right.
And I appreciate it.
You may also consider some talk therapy. I've seen a bunch of people in the chat say that. I've kind of laid off suggesting that in most calls here, but you are so young. I don't know if you're in talk therapy, but you might consider trying to find some kind of therapist. I don't know what that looks like for you. I don't know if you have insurance for that or somebody who can pay for that. But my gut, just to give you the common denominator of what I'm sensing, like you need adults, you need good adults in your life that you can ask questions to. You're so young. You need people in your life that you need good adult people in your life that can. You sound very strong and very aware, very intelligent for your age, very mature for your age, and my gut says you need more people. You need more adults in your life than you have now to continue fostering that in you, and that's why I'm suggesting you reach out to your old teacher and his wife, and if it's an option, maybe consider some therapy, some talk therapy, not psychiatry. In your case, it doesn't sound like you need pills. You need adults you can talk to, that you can ask questions to and get answers. And I'm really glad to hear you've got a good head on your shoulders. I think that's going to serve you well in life. I'm really glad you called in. And please know that we want you to call back anytime you need to talk. We'll be here. This line is open to you. So please call back if you need to talk again.
All right, thank you. I will definitely do that. I've wanted to try therapy, but my older brother, the one I live with, tells me it's not going to help.
He's wrong.
So I guess, he doesn't know much about it. He says it's going to ruin me instead, and so that's why I reached out to you.
He's wrong. That's wrong. That's some leftover boomer programming. What your brother's saying to you is some residual baby boomer programming. Most baby boomers don't go to therapy. It was very unpopular with their generation, and this is a recurring theme from callers here. There's a lot of people calling in their 20s and early 30s with baby boomer parents who discourage their kids from going to therapy because they think it's a sign of weakness, or they think it doesn't work, or they think it's exploiting people's emotions, and it's just not true. People go to get PhDs in psychology for reasons, for countless reasons, and these people are qualified to do the work they do, and these people know a lot about the brain and brain chemistry and psychology. These are things you can learn. These are things people know, and these people are paid a lot of money to talk people through their problems, and it's not exploitative. It's not brainwashing. It's not a sign of weakness. If you have any way to get anyone to pay for some talk therapy, again, not psychiatry. It doesn't sound like you need pills. It doesn't sound like you're dealing with some kind of mental illness or something. It sounds like you just need some adults, some good adults, some smart adults to talk to. If you have any way to get that, you might consider pushing back a little bit on your brother. Psychology is a proven field, and people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars studying it for good reasons, and good results come from people practicing psychology. I guarantee you, if you read Running on Empty, I guarantee you, if you get your brother to read Running on Empty, I mean, that's the case in point. Like, people can't write books like this unless they study these things. So I'm really sorry to hear you're up against some resistance on that, but please know, at least it's my conviction that talk therapy is not pointless. I have spent so much money and so many years in talk therapy. I don't even know how much I've spent in it. It totally works. It totally helps people grow through things. I would not have made it through certain years if it were not for talk therapy. I don't know how people do it without it. And I know a lot of dysfunctional people who don't believe in it. So I'll leave it at that.
That's reassuring. Thank you, because I haven't done any research on it. But talk therapy, is that specific?
Yeah, talk therapy is counseling, or basically you have three kinds of you have two or three kinds of therapy. You have psychiatrists; they'll give you pills. You talk to all these people, but psychiatrists will listen to you and then give you pills if you have a mental disorder. That's a psychiatrist. A psychologist will diagnose you with a mental disorder. So if you've got like PTSD or autism or narcissistic personality disorder or borderline personality disorder, a psychologist will diagnose you with that. And then you have just general talk therapy. And usually talk therapists are psychologists, but they're not there to diagnose you. They're there to be a counselor, to listen to you talk, listen to your questions, answer questions you may have, and just talk. They're not going to diagnose you. A talk therapist isn't going to diagnose you or give you pills. If that's basically it. Yeah.
And they're not going to disclose any information?
They're legally bound to keep everything you share confidential.
All right, thank you.
All three are.
Okay, all right.
That's right.
Like, will they tell the parent?
What's that?
Will they tell the parent anything?
They cannot tell your parents anything.
All right, I will definitely look into that because I should have someone who would help me.
I'm wishing you the best. You're really young, but you have a good head on your shoulders. You're going through a lot. Take care of yourself. And I'm really glad to hear you have an older brother and some adults you look up to. I'm wishing you the best, and I hope to hear from you again if you need to talk again.
I will probably call in and update you and tell you if therapy works or not. Well, if it works
Well,
for me,
it's gonna take a long time. It doesn't happen quickly, and you might need to go through a few therapists before you find the one you like. There's a good chance. I mean, just so you know, I've changed therapists a lot myself, and I've gone through 6 to 8 therapists before finding one that understands me and that is a good fit. So you might go through a few before you find the one that's a good fit. Don't get discouraged. Keep at it if you can. You might get lucky and get a great fit right out of the gate, but you never know what's going to happen. I'm actually going to put one more resource in the chat for you, since it sounds like this is something you don't know really where to begin with. There's a website called Psychology Today. I don't know if you know that website, but they have a tool on their homepage. They have a tool on their homepage called Find a Therapist. And you can type in your zip code. Don't tell us where you live, but you can go to this website. I just put it in the chat for you. And you can type in your zip code, and you can filter through psychologists and talk therapists in your area based on certain criteria. You can say like, hey, I'm looking for someone to diagnose me. Hey, I'm looking for someone just to talk to. Hey, I'm looking for somebody who, you might be able to even find a therapist who deals with family turmoil or something like that, which is what I'd say you're going through there. Family crisis. You might find some kind of therapist that specializes in something like that. You can filter for therapists like that in your area using that link I just put in the chat for you. So look for that later, along with the book I put in there, and and you can find a therapist in your area that will meet your budget, maybe even take your insurance, and that is qualified to deal with the issues you're needing help with. So I put that in the chat for you. And I'm wishing you the best.
Thank you. I have my hope, so I believe from here it's going to get better.
Good.
As long as I can get positive outlook on life. Thank you.
The spirit. That's the spirit. You're very mature for your age. I'm wishing you the best. I hope to hear from you again. Take care.
Take care.
Okay, guys, lines are opening. While those are opening, stepping away for 8 seconds, coming right back. Gotta grab something. Wow. Okay. Guys, sorry, we were waiting on callers earlier at the beginning, and then I realized during my first call I was on that the number was not even on the screen. So I'm sorry. Oh boy. My bad. Ooh, lemon water. The best. I would recommend anybody in the chat as well who might be looking for a therapist. That Psychology Today tool that I referenced to the caller is an amazing tool. I have used it myself on more than several occasions to find a great therapist in my area. I've used it in Los Angeles. I've used it in Nashville. It works great no matter where you are, in my experience. So if that's something you are looking for, it will not just work for a caller. It can work for it can work for people in less intense circumstances. It can work for pretty much anybody. Highly recommend anybody who found that tool interesting to check it out. It's amazing. I see that from Denton McKee. Thank you for the chat. Yeah, this is one of a couple different streams on this channel now. This is a very different kind of stream. This is not entertainment. This is not entertaining, is what I like to say. This is kind of like a community effort to where we take anonymous calls. We don't know who's calling in. We don't know what they're calling about. We provide anonymity for callers to share about anything they may be going through, or to confess something, and to just vent something, or to get feedback from the chat and me. And we kind of work in tandem here to support callers. We never know what people are going to talk about. There's another call coming in. Here we go. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Can we start with your age and then give us a brief reason for the call?
Awesome. Okay, so I'm 21 years old, and I guess I'm just wanting to talk more about, I guess, childhood stuff, maybe career stuff. It kind of like is all scrambled together.
Okay. Go for it. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I am more just dealing with a bit of issues with my parents. I'm not really able to talk to them about certain things. Considering, like, I don't know, I guess when I was younger, I was the last kid of 5, so I didn't have a lot of time with my parents because either they were at work or, I don't know, just kind of out of touch, with the last kid. So I kind of find it difficult these days to kind of break that barrier and talk about more of the stuff that, I don't know, went on.
Right. What was your childhood look like? You were the last of 5 kids. That's noteworthy.
Yeah. 5 kids. I have 4 other siblings. My parents had me at like around 40, so I get it. Like, later kid, not the most energy for the last kid. But yeah, I guess just my father kind of had like an addiction when I was younger, so I didn't get to really, I don't know, like know him for like who he really was at the time. And then my mom she was there, but, and as much as I love her, just like, she kind of took like the back seat of parenting, you know? I mean, she was there when I was younger. She liked to like take me to the store and like dress me up and stuff. But at an older age, I guess, when things became more complicated, I just don't think she was able to, I don't know, understand. She's always been like an upbeat, happy-go-lucky person, very positive. So anytime like I would come talk to her about things, she would be very like, "Oh, just be positive. You're putting yourself through this mindset or whatever." But yeah, I guess I'm just like wondering how I'm able to break that barrier with her and be able to discuss things that might make her uncomfortable.
Mm. What kinds of things do you wish you could talk to your mom about?
Kind of about when we were younger. I guess I don't know, she wasn't as participant. She would get angry and maybe, I mean, she wasn't like abusive, but she would definitely, I don't know, she would use her hands, or she would, and again, like this is not so much now, but she would, I don't know, she would hit out of anger, or she would do this or that. And I guess whenever I kind of try to talk to her about that stuff, she kind of just shuts down. Or when I talk to her about like school and stuff, like that's something that I also wish my parents were more involved in, was my school, because I never had like goals for myself. And I get that at some age, like you do have to become responsible for yourself. I mean, I'm 21 now, so I can't keep blaming it on that. But I don't know. I guess I wish she was more present. I wish I could have like deep conversations with her. I mean, like I have deep conversations with my dad to this day now that we're able to, but I can't get any deeper with her.
So it sounds like when you were younger, your dad wasn't very present, and now that you're older, your dad is present and your mom is not. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, just about.
So you've taken kind of your parents have kind of flip-flopped in the, like your dad is now the primary parent, whereas your mom used to be in your life.
Yeah, kind of. Exactly. So my dad kind of takes all the weight of it, and which is kind of hard because he has really bad anxiety issues. He has gone through some stuff on his own. That didn't make him necessarily the best parent, even though I'm sure, like, I'm very aware that he cared and loved us very much. But I guess when I start to talk to him about certain things, or I guess it's more of a me issue too, because I cannot let go for some reason. But there were moments where me and my dad would get into it, and it would get really bad. And like, for instance, it's kind of hard to explain, but for instance, like I remember there was one time where I could go out on Halloween or whatever, and he wasn't in his right mind. And he didn't want me going out on Halloween as a kid, or like, you're staying here or whatever. And I just remember it getting kind of bad. I guess when I say yelling, it doesn't sound that bad, and I probably sound like a wuss, but it was definitely I don't know. I guess in a way traumatizing, because the way he would do it, like I could see in his eyes that it wasn't him.
Were you? I'm trying to understand the situation. You've spoken very well. You've spoken very highly of both your parents at different times in your life. You know, it sounds like when you were younger, your mom was really there for you, but she had some anger. She would yell, and it sounds like she would spank you. I'm not quite sure if you're like, it sounds like maybe your parents might have been religious and they spanked. I'm not sure if that's the case, or if they
Yeah.
if they hit you, or like that hitting and spanking are different in my opinion. Like some people spank their kids. I'm not here to weigh in on the way people parent, but in my opinion at least, hitting and spanking are different things. Like I don't spank my kids. I never have, never will. But and I grew up being spanked, and uh, and other
Yeah, I
things.
agree. Yeah, they're definitely
So I'm
great.
trying all that to say I'm trying to understand like what the dynamic is. Like, what are your parents religious? Did they had religious convictions for raising you the way that they did, and is that the cause of the way the relationship has evolved, or is this like some natural ebb and flow of relationship? Like, I do think it's normal as we get older. Like, it's normal to, in my opinion at least, it's normal to relate with one parent when you're younger, and then in your early adulthood, that can change. And then who knows, maybe 10 years from now, it changes back, and maybe you're closer with your mom. But I don't know, like, were you physically abused? Was it like, what was the dynamic growing up? Things
It
like
wasn't
that.
necessarily a constant thing with my mom, but it wasn't necessarily speaking, although we did. I mean, when we were younger, but it would be as like getting into an argument, and maybe she didn't like something that I said in the right way. So, I mean, and this was a long time ago, and like it wasn't, it wasn't like purposeful, but like she had busted my lip one time. She had hit me hard. Um, she, I guess she hit me hard till I bled one time.
Oh my goodness.
I guess some of my, through my nose. I mean, it wasn't, and I guess, yeah, I guess when I try to talk to her about like older stuff, she's just very throws her hands up and like, well, you guys were doing this, then you guys are doing that, and I guess like I could let that go for sure. I could let it go. Like I get nobody's perfect, but it's just when I talk to her about it, it's like there's no fault. There's no, I don't know. She's just kind of in her world, and she always kind of has been. She's not a bad person, and I know deep down she knows that was wrong, and she shouldn't have done that. And even with me and my siblings, like trying to talk to her about it when we were older, like that wasn't okay. And I think she's just guilty. And I think when she gets embarrassed, then she just shuts down instead of like really talking about it. That's why whenever like I try to talk to her about deep stuff, or like it just doesn't go anywhere, or we end up like getting more mad at each other, and I don't know.
Right. Metal Martin says to you from the chat, I think her question is how to connect with her parents better. And to be clear, I'm trying to get to that. I'm also trying to understand, like, is there a reason that you're not connecting with? The reason for my questions is there, like, some kids have a good reason for why a relationship with a parent has been denied or blocked or let down. And I'm trying to understand, like, what the reason for these questions are. Like, did something happen to you when you were younger that you've not been able to resolve? It sounds like maybe that's possible. I don't know. You mentioned your mom made you bleed one time. I'm not sure if that's like, that was a normal thing. That's definitely intense.
Yeah, that was like a one-time thing where like I actually like bled. So that wasn't. I guess it was more traumatizing for me. What's traumatizing for me might not be as like traumatizing for another person, but I guess just being that age, it was way more intense. I guess I'm just wondering like how I'm able to talk to them about it, and like also my relationship with my dad. I wish I could put less on him, because I'm not able to talk to her about these things. I'm talking through just to him about it. And me and my dad end up getting in more fights at this point in time than me and my mom, because I mean, I'm just able to talk to him. I have that access, so of course I'm fighting more. And like, at least he's trying, which is what like I really care about, even if he doesn't know the right things to say. Like I really appreciate that he's trying. to understand how I'm feeling, and I just can't get that way with my mom.
What kinds of stuff do you wish you could talk with your mom about? And why do you think you can't?
The kind of things I want to talk to her about is more just like, why wasn't she more present? Even though she was there, like, I know it sounds weird, like she wasn't a deadbeat, she was there all the time. She just wasn't, I don't know, she always did her own thing. Like, my parents lived in different rooms, like they, I guess I'm just trying to, I don't know, get on it. I guess I can't heal without her understanding the effect that she kind of had on me or even my siblings as children.
Right. Ethereal Silence from the chat says to you, I can say that having had this talk with my dad, it is a hard talk. It can suck. It might make you cry or get angry, but it can be worth it. My dad apologized to me for all he did. Not common, but, and that was the end of the thought. I do think that's uncommon, but it's not impossible to have a parent apologize to you for certain things. A lot of parents can't acknowledge the things that they did. There are many different reasons for this. It's part of the reason I asked, like, do your parents have some kind of religious conviction for hitting or spanking or whatever it is? Because if that's the case, then it might be really difficult for your mom to open up about that stuff.
Right.
But
no religious conviction. I think she just doesn't know. I think she just can't handle confrontation. Like I forget who wrote it in the chat, but yeah, I had that exact kind of talk with my dad literally recently. And I was crying, and I was kind of like, I don't know, just saying whatever I needed to say, even if I was like saying like, this might not be helpful, but I have to get it off my chest. And he was just there listening and understanding. Because I kind of had the same, well, it's similar and different to like the problems that I have with my mom and my dad. But yeah, I got to that point with my dad, and I just have so much resentment towards my mom for like never being able to talk with me like that, or just, I don't know. It kind of, when we talk, she gets upset very angrily, or she'll say things that are just like, that was like, do you understand how much that hurt me? Or I don't know. I just wish she could understand that part and just listen instead of kind of refuting or like pushing everything off. Or but yeah.
I'm taking a couple notes here to try to keep track during the conversation. Yeah, so your mom, you know, some of this may be a kind of natural ebb and flow of relationship. You may have not gotten to the bottom. You may not have fully figured out how to articulate how you feel with your mom. That's at least possible. It's also potentially not the case. I don't know you. All I know is what you're sharing. But it sounds like, I mean, what's interesting to me here is that you said your relationship with your parents flopped from when you were a kid to now as a legal adult. And I think that's, I think a lot of people go through that. At least I know a lot of people who've gone through that. And so maybe this needs to run its course. Maybe in time you will find yourself in a deeper relationship with your mom again. It sounds like you are looking for ways to open up with her more so that you're not a burden on your dad. I remember you saying that earlier. Yeah. My gut says you're not a burden on your dad. I mean, your dad is your dad. Your parents are your parents. I'm sure they want to be there for you no matter what it is. And I'm sure your dad is grateful to, I mean, if your dad wasn't, if you guys didn't have as deep of a relationship as you have now, and now you're able to talk to him in new ways that he actually responds to. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, I can't give you I can't give you definitive answers here on what will fix this. We're not here to fix your life. We're here to listen and give you maybe at best a couple ideas for things you could try tomorrow, to work towards progress in your own life. You know, but this is your journey. This is your journey, and I don't know what the answer is. In your case, it could be your case is I would say very dynamic and very full of potential. I mean, you're still very young. Of course, you're a legal adult, but you're still your brain is still developing for the next few years at least. So like you may very well find yourself in a few years having conversations with your mom you thought were never possible, because you may have thought through these things a little more carefully, a little bit more deeply as you gain more life experience. Maybe these things become easier for you to communicate to your mom in a way she responds to. These are all possibilities. Maybe the opposite's true at the same time. And I'm not trying to confuse you. I'm just acknowledging the potential for what I'm hearing. Maybe the older you get, you have more, you realize more depth to the issues with your mom, and the conversation becomes harder. But maybe in time, those kinds of things can be talked about and approached in a way where she may be able to respond to. In other words, you know, this could be a natural thing, and maybe it's not worth worrying about, or it could be something that I don't know the full scope of how intense your childhood was. Maybe in time you realize that there's a lot more here than you originally thought. And if that's the case, then you just need to keep on the path, and either way you need to keep on the path and be grateful that for what you do have, and just keep trying to understand the relationship for what it is, and to take those relationships deeper. Of course, nobody wants a relationship to stagnate. Nobody wants a relationship with a parent to stagnate, or even with a friend to stagnate. So there's a lot going on here. I mean, is there anything else to your story that could... Did you respond to either anything I just said? Did either of those potential scenarios, like, put a light bulb in your head? It's like, yeah, that could be it, or no, that's wrong.
I mean, yeah, I guess I think the more that I talk about it, I just realize that I'm kind of digging up dead, like, you know, I don't know what I keep trying to make references, but I'm just kind of picking at something that's already done. But yeah, maybe I just need to wait its course to get to that level with my mom. And I feel bad putting this on them right now because they're getting older. Like, they had me at an older age. They're
right.
Like 6 years old. I don't want to put, and I just don't want it to be on her deathbed that we actually like talk about this stuff, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I guess I feel like as a kid, I was as neglected as you can be without being neglected. You know what I mean? If that even makes sense.
They were emotionally absent, maybe?
Yeah, emotionally absent, for sure. Yeah, I guess being the last of 5, I didn't have, like, a lot of time with my siblings. I didn't get to talk to them about this kind of stuff until, like, a lot older. It's just a lot holding from the past.
Right.
Yeah. Especially, like, I guess when my dad was kind of going through stuff and, you know, he wasn't himself, I kind of felt like I wanted somebody. I don't know, like, I should have been kind of protected from that. I kind of wish he was there to keep an eye. I don't know, to be a parent, even if it's the other parent, that's kind of, I don't know.
Pixie of Peace from the chat says to you, do you have any other family members or guardians you can talk to about this?
Yeah, and you know what? I guess I have a sister who's my closest sister. She's about 4 years older than me, who kind of, I mean, my sister did not even talk to my mom for like a couple years. I don't think she really understood it. I don't even, like, I'm trying to understand it, why we have this, I don't know, kind of resentment for her more than, I don't know. But I talked to her about it a lot, and then I have another sibling. They're a lot older than me. I have two brothers who are about definitely over a decade older than me. So they have their own kids, they have their own families, and I'd feel too guilty to put that on them when they're already, especially because they're done with this course. They're done with their like childhood. They're done with feeling they have their own kids to worry about.
Right.
Like I have a niece who's like kind of like my sister when I was younger. Like I was 5 years older than her, and I would kind of do everything with her. And I just remember like all the stuff they did together, and like I almost wanted to be like my brother's child because they always did stuff and they always were together. Which I know that sounds weird, like my brother's child, but it's just that's how much older he was than me. And I guess seeing such a healthy relationship between children and their parents was kind of hard.
Right.
But yeah, I could definitely talk to some of them about it. That would probably give me insight, I guess.
You might try processing your thoughts for your mom on paper in a letter that you never give to her. That's something I've done a number of times in my life, where if there's a difficult conversation I need to have and I'm not sure what the point of it is, I'll just write a letter as if I'm going to send it to the person, but I never send it to the person. I just write the letter just for myself to get my thoughts out, and then I go through it and I figure out what the theme of it is, what the kernel of, what the single kernel from it is, and then I'll turn that into a few bullet points that I can take into a face-to-face conversation with the person. You might work towards something like that. You might put your thoughts on paper in a letter you never give your mom and turn that into some bullet points that you memorize and take into a conversation. Of course, you don't want to march into a conversation with a set of notes. That seems really ridiculous. But you know, if you can use a letter that you never send to your mom as a way to get to the bottom of what it actually is, then you can take that into a face-to-face conversation and make sure you don't leave anything out. You know, that's a good way to make sure nothing gets left out. You can just, you know, keep a few bullet points in your head. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a lot better on paper than talking. As you can hear, like I'm super scrambly. I have really bad ADHD, diagnosed with ADHD. So if I like have a thing in mind that I want to talk about it, I'll definitely leave a bunch of parts out, and then I don't even know how to communicate it. So how is another person gonna understand that? So yeah, I'll definitely try writing that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely try that.
Great way to open up some conversation that you're not sure how to move forward with.
Right.
You know, I would say there's a lot of good thoughts for you in the chat I didn't get to, so maybe review the chat later once the replay is up, and go through, and you can pick and choose what was helpful from the chat. Of course, none of us here we can't all be right, because we're all just sharing our opinions and our perspective, and none of us can fix you. That's not what we're here for, but I am glad you called in and shared. Wishing that you get some progress with the relationship you want with your mom, and just be encouraged that a lot of this may be developmental. I know I've said this already, but I'll say it again. Like it sounds like you do have very real thoughts you need to convey to your mom, but be encouraged that some of this could be developmental. It's normal to, at your age, be questioning the ways you were raised, the things you were raised with, and to have feelings about those, to have convictions about those. That's part of becoming an adult. So don't be discouraged. A letter is a great way to organize your thoughts, especially if you're wrestling with some ADHD, so that you can go into that conversation knowing like the 2 or 3 things that you're hoping to communicate. And you can't memorize a whole letter, but you can memorize 2 or 3 things. You can keep those in your head and make sure you get to each of them. And that can be a great way to have some conversations that are difficult or confusing. And I'm wishing you the best. And just know that you can call back here anytime. I'd love to get a good update from you. So please call back if you need to talk again, or even if you have a good update. We'd love to hear from you again.
I will. Definitely. Thank you for doing this. I love watching these, and I don't know. very cool to get different perspectives on a topic, because sometimes, I don't know, it helps. Thank you.
I'm glad it was a good call. Thanks for calling. Hope to hear from you again. Take care.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Good night. Okay, everybody, we have about 30 minutes left in tonight's stream. I started 7 minutes late, so it's approximately 35 minutes left in the stream. Based on that, lines are opening. It's amazing. The calls 1 and 2 tonight were both in regards to neglectful parents or emotionally absent parents. These streams have a way of doing that. I wonder if I've wondered before if that's something in the air. Like that's so, I've noticed that before. This is definitely not the first time it's happened, where more than one caller will call in with a very similar experience. So it's always interesting to see that. Yeah, we're gonna take the next call. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hello, Julian?
Hello, thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Hey, I just wanted to kind of get something off my mind. I am a 29-year-old dude who was raised in a cult. And I kind of just wanted to just tell my experience a little bit and kind of my current struggles and what I'm going through. I wasn't actually expecting an answer. I know that your prompt said like to prepare an intro, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to give some perspective into someone that was kind of raised and born in a really, really difficult situation and got out.
Okay.
And just the current struggles that I've gone through. But yeah, I was raised in a very, very conservative Christian cult since pretty much being born. A huge, huge family. I'm one of 9. I have 30 plus nieces and nephews.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of cults that are just like, yeah, procreate as much as possible. So yeah, just growing up, it just was always kind of weird getting shut off from the world, and like I was, homeschooled on and off through my elementary years. Just kind of getting tossed around in life. Like my parents wanted to like kind of expose me to public schools, but then like a disagreement would come up, and then I would be homeschooled for a couple of years, and then just kind of getting indoctrinated. But like it really didn't start being a problem since like I was in high school. That's when like obviously conflict, teenagers fighting with their parents, but instead this was kind of a more on, like fighting on steroid situation. And it was always funny. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
It's all right. Take your time. Collect your thoughts. The floor is yours. Here to listen. It sounds like you got a lot on your mind. Growing up in a family cult is extreme, and the floor is yours to share whatever it is you need to get off your chest. So if you need to take a second, take a couple breaths to collect your thoughts, the floor is yours. Do whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable. We're here to listen. We're here for you.
I appreciate it. I really do. But yeah, it mostly, the biggest thing that kind of got me through it was the big family. We always kind of got, our church routines, and our church was our whole life. We didn't have a whole lot of exposure outside of the family. But my little brother, Ian, he basically was born with some defects, and he had a condition of cerebral palsy, which was brain damage at a young age, and he was kind of my focus as a young person. And we connected through like Disney VHS movies, and we would interact and play that way, and like we would, sing the Disney songs and have a good time, and he was pretty maturely taken from us when he was only 13 years old. And it kind of broke our family permanently, and this was also right before the 08 financial crisis, and my parents had a lot of money in the system that just got rug pulled, and it kind of made them even more crazy and listened to more conspiracy theories. And going to high school, we were basically just locked out from interaction. We were pulled from school. We weren't allowed to have friends outside the church. And it usually was only a once-a-week thing, every Wednesday night for a couple hours in youth group, which was like 90% of that was listening to the pastor, and then the other 10% was actual social interaction. And so that's where, like, I started to get just resentful. And it just kind of started eating at me. I got more rebellious and more just bitter. And I didn't really know what was going on inside of me, just like why I was so upset. And it kind of, a little foreshadowing. Right now, I currently work in the IT industry. I just know computers inside and out. And this is where it kind of started, because my parents used to force me and my siblings into a room. We would listen to just the cult leader and his sermons, and we were required to turn in notes for my parents to review. And I always got the worst notes. My notes were crap, and my parents would dog on me for that, because at the time I convinced my parents to let them use my dad's laptop. And I basically, during the sermons, I would look up StarCraft 2. This was before StarCraft 2 came out. And the whole idea of I played the first one with my older brother.
It's like you knew even then that something wasn't right, and you were not gonna spend your time doing it.
Exactly, and like I saw my older brother play the first one, and when the second one was announced, and it was like on, the Walmart banners when we would go out shopping, I was just like, I need to know more. And so I went behind my parents, and I wasn't taking notes because I was looking at like, the news releases of like, oh, this is where we're at in the game, and this is the screenshots and like all that kind of stuff. I didn't have a computer. There was no way I could play this game, but I thought like maybe someday, I can grow up and I can play StarCraft 2. It's gonna be the greatest thing. And mind you, like my dad was a teacher, so like he had like the parental control software, which I figured out how to break because I had to, like I wanted to. So like, that was my foray into the computing world. Was just getting around a barrier. And things kind of just got worse through high school, to the point where we got more and more into the cults, and it got to the point where just everything we did was like controlled. We weren't allowed. I remember when the first Thor movie was coming out, we weren't allowed to see it because the cult said it was wrong, and it was like Nordic gods, blah blah blah. And then it got really bad in my 17 to 18-year-old life. That's when it kind of started to become a death cult, in the sense that they were waiting for the end of the world.
Right.
And it just was a difficult time for me, being a young adult, just full of life, wanting to live. Just getting told by your parents that, no, you're destined to die. We're waiting, for Jesus to come in the clouds any day now. And it just was kind of rough. And so I kind of was just an angry young person for a long time. I ended up abusing alcohol for a bit. And it just got to the point where I just was afraid of my parents. They were just like this weird boogeyman. And it was a really weird time in my life because I was going to college and I thought, at this time, I'm 18. I got to play StarCraft 2 finally. On my own laptop.
It was finally okay.
It was finally okay, and I still got absolutely crushed by the Koreans online. Like, let me tell you, they ruined me.
This is why you got into IT.
Exactly. It's like, why did I play this stupid game? I'm gonna heck you in real life.
It's good to hear you laugh about this. It's good to hear you laugh about this.
It really is. If you don't laugh, you're gonna cry.
Yeah. Well, I feel two ways about that. I mean, people laugh when they're recounting difficult things for two reasons, and maybe more, but at least two. They either laugh because they've grown past it and they realize the absurdity that was the past, or they laugh because they're masking pain that they still feel and are still grappling with. And that leads me to my question for you, which is that it makes me wonder, like, what is the reason for the laughter? I don't want to be insensitive and laughing with you. If there's something you need to say, I sense that this is stuff you've already processed, but I also don't know what the reason for the call is. I'm still just listening to your story. What would make this a good call? What of this are you still processing? And what we're happy to listen to the story in its entirety. But what is this culminating towards, so that we can kind of keep track on where we're headed?
Yeah, it's mostly culminating towards the idea that even though, like, I'm laughing now because of the absurdity, I can mentally process it. I can mentally say, yes, this belief that, like, my parents had was ridiculous. Like, full disclosure, I didn't, like, abandon the faith or anything, but I'm still, I have developed a very progressive view of the world. Very, very different from my parents. But I guess the reason for my call and, like, the mental anguish that still exists isn't necessarily in the consciousness. It's in the subconsciousness. Where I meet my demons and where I struggle the hardest is my dreams at night. It's the PTSD, and I kind of just wanted to call and just let people know, if you're listening, like, you can still kind of get through it and through your day. I'm like, I got past it. I got out of the cult, but that PTSD can still, like, haunt you. And, like, I have very weekly night terrors where I feel trapped. I'm in a cage, and I see my mom and dad's face, and they're there, and they're holding me down, and I can't do anything. And they taunt me. They're just like, hey, you're living under my house. It's my rule. And, like, you can't see, like, this girl that you're interested in. You can't do that activity with your friends. Like, you have to sit here, study the Bible, blah, blah, blah. And I feel absolutely devastated just to wake up in my own apartment as a grown-ass man.
Right.
And it's just the nature of PTSD. It finds a way to find you at your most vulnerable while you're sleeping, while you're, like, letting your mind drift. It's going to find you, and it's just, like, it's a really scary thing. And it's like, like, when it comes to, like, fighting a war, PTSD, people can automatically get it. But, like, when you're coming out of, like, a religious cult, it's hard to find resources. And, like, I found one resource, but they've been kind of half helpful. And it was a while ago. I don't even remember the name, but, like, I was studying to be a pastor at one point, and there is a outreach out there that basically helps people that were pastors or, like, a member of the clergy, and it helps them basically learn life skills as they're transitioning from, like, one stage of their life to the next. And, like, it wasn't very helpful for me. I was only with them for, like, a month or two, because, like, I had some IT skills going into it. I was already working at Best Buy and Geek Squad for a while in my very young period of life. So I guess, like, it's more of a, like, how do you handle PTSD when it comes to a cultish thing, is like the whole point of my call.
It's a great question. We've had a number of calls like this. This is something I do have some personal experience with. Of course, I'm not a psychologist. I'm a person that's been through a lot of things like this, and I've read a lot of books specifically on this kind of thing. There's an amazing woman that I'm not sure if you've heard of, named Marlene Winell. Are you familiar with her?
No, I haven't heard of her.
She is a PhD psychologist who specializes in recovering from family cults, specifically religious cults, religious trauma. She actually she discovered a subsect of PTSD called RPTSD, which is religious PTSD, which now is known as religious trauma syndrome. It was known as RPTSD for, I want to say, like 15 years, up until a couple years ago. It was recoined as religious trauma syndrome. It was given its own thing, but it's basically PTSD, people who grew up in exactly what you're talking about. She has a book about this. I'm going to put it in the chat for you, called Leaving the Fold. Marlene Winell is amazing. I've listened to a bunch of her lectures. She's also a therapist. You can book her through you can book her as a therapist online. You can get like digital. You can get like a virtual therapy. You can get virtual therapy sessions with her, and she's amazing. She also has these religious recovery retreats that she does in California. I think she's actually in Maryland or Massachusetts now. She was in Northern California for many years, and now she's back in her home in the Northeast, and I believe it's Massachusetts or Maryland, but one of the M's up there. But she holds these retreats every year. I believe it's in October, where people from all over the world come for like 4 or 5 days, and they're all there to just kind of make connections and meet people. And then she leads these sessions, these group sessions, people going through exactly what you're talking about. So she is a wormhole. You can go as deep into as you like, but I'm giving you that name, Marlene Winell. I'm putting this in the chat for you, the book Leaving the Fold, so you can check it out. Great book. It doesn't have very. It's not a popular book because you gotta know like what you're talking about is not. It's a very niche experience. Like growing up in a family cult is very. It's a very niche experience. So like when you go to the Goodreads, it's only got like 50 reviews on Goodreads, but this book is amazing. She's a PhD, and she is one of the leaders of this research. So I hope you find her as valuable as I have. I cannot say enough good things about Marlene Winell. She's amazing, and a wealth of information. So I hope you find some value from that. Of course, like I'm happy to, we try to keep calls to 30 minutes here. You're probably our last call for the night. We've got another 15 minutes till we need to wind down the stream. So if you want to keep talking, I'm happy to spitball with you anything that might be helpful to spitball about. But I want to just say right out of the gate that Marlene Winell sounds like an invaluable resource for you.
It really does. I'm taking a look at the book, and it looks like it's like right up my alley. I know it's just it's quite an experience.
Indeed.
Especially like leaving behind everything that you were raised on. And it kind of was a growing experience for me. It started with, finding work after college. Like I said, I didn't leave the faith necessarily. I just don't see it the same way. Because they basically, I was in seminary at said cult, and they were basically trying to get me to raise me to be a pastor to further their cult ambitions. And I wrote a book in college on the Book of Acts, and I do apologize for getting too like religious or political on your show. Feel free to cut me off anytime. Like, I'm not going to go into anything extreme, but like, you know,
That's fine.
I would read the Bible, and they would say things like, "Yeah, we got to go out, we got to do this political thing, we got to like, you know, achieve this goal." And I'm writing this book in college, and I'm like, as a project in one of my classes, and I'm like, that's not what it says. That's not what the Bible says. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, it doesn't say we have to go out and like, you know, be the political force of the world. We don't have to go out and like, you know, violently take our right. Full disclosure, the cult I was part of is part of the whole Seven Mountain Christian theory, which is like the Christian nationalism. We have to take over America and kick everyone out and all that kind of crazy stuff.
Got it.
So here I am being taught by very conservative, very hateful people, like, hey, read this book, write a book on how, like, you know, how you're going to further the goals of the Christian movement. And I was like, it didn't say that. It, like, the whole reason we have, like, that saying that says, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, that came from the book of Acts. Like, we should be more sensitive to people that are different than us. That's the whole point.
Right. That's actually that's as Old Testament. That's as Old Testament as it gets.
Yeah, and it was very much. I got bad looks at school, and like they were condemning my parents. And the end game of the cult was we got kicked out partially because of me, because I was too progressive for them.
Right.
And so we moved back to our hometown, partially kicked out of the cult, and I still wasn't happy in life. And so I got kicked out by the family. And so I'm living, you know, thousands of miles apart. The only real family I still keep in contact with are the younger siblings of all of us 9. Just because we kind of were
kicked
like...
out of the family? Kicked out of your home? What does that mean?
Well, I got... Kicked out of the home is a strong word in the sense that they told me that... Well, it was one of those, like, weird manipulation tactics. It was like they said, we're not kicking you out, but you're free to stay here if you agree with what we tell you. And I could not, in good faith, morally, consciously agree with their garbage.
They kicked you out of the house.
Yeah, so I moved in a couple thousand miles north to be with my best friend, who also moved up north from my hometown. And it's been a journey. I've only been out for about 3 years now.
Wow.
But
you sound really good considering that. Sounds like you got a good head on your shoulders.
I'm very happy with the person I am. And it's very fun and exciting to finally just get left alone and just be, you know, chilled out and the laid back personality that I am. And just, I get along with people really well. So the people that I was taught to hate, I would interact with, and I'm like, there's nothing to hate here. Why? I don't get it. Like, these people are chill. They're cool. We're all trying to live life. We're all trying to figure out who we are. Like, you know, and that would just piss my parents off to a high end. This is why they try to lock me away. And they always tell me, like, oh, like, you know, it's like the Proverbs say, like, you raise up a child to be how they're going to be, and that's how they're going to end up. And that was their, like, obsession to them. They locked me in. That's why I have this PTSD. I'm afraid of being, like, locked behind a cage.
Right.
Because I was their experiment, in a way.
Right.
To, like, oh, we can change him. And it's like, oh, we can't change him. Like, you're kicked out of the house. And, like, I don't hate my parents. I love them. So, they moved to a different location, and they're retired. And they're on Facebook just soaking up the conspiracy theories, and it's like I can't feel responsible for them at this point because it's like they chose their path, and I need to live my life. And I really do appreciate you giving that book a shout out because, like I said, it's the PTSD. That's the lingering thing that I'm dealing with.
I want to give you one more.
Like,
I want to give you one more. That was a book that meant a lot to me years ago, Leaving the Fold. There's another book that meant even more to me that I didn't mention up top. I'm only mentioning it now because you mentioned the stuff about the Bible. You did. This is a book called Who Wrote the Bible by Richard Elliott Friedman. Are you familiar with that book?
That kind of sounds familiar.
This book is almost 40 years old. It's the best-selling book about the Bible besides the Bible itself. It doesn't get into any New Testament. It's written by the leading Hebrew scholar, the guy who, like, Richard Friedman is like the man. His school program at the University of California, San Diego is the #1 Bible school on the planet. It's his program. He created it from the ground up. This book is amazing. It's in fact, there's actually now officially an audio book. I would actually recommend reading it, but I produced the audiobook because this book meant so much to me, and I couldn't believe there wasn't an audiobook for the first 30-something years of its life, so we just put this out this year. I'm just giving you the Goodreads link because I prefer for people to read it, but I realize many people would rather listen to stuff, so we did make an audiobook. I produced it, and I read it, so that is available if you'd rather listen to it, but I highly recommend you read it, especially if you know the Bible. This book is amazing. And it only deals with the Torah. It doesn't go through New Testament. It only goes through the first 5 books of the Bible. That's Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. That's all it goes through. I'm putting the link for you in the chat. This is a wildly popular book, much more popular than Leaving the Fold. This book is incredible. It is the leading book on the first 5 books of the Bible. So if you're interested in Bible, this book will tell you how it came together, who wrote it, when they wrote it. And it's fascinating, unbelievable book. Can't say, and it's not a religious book. This book doesn't seek to convert people. It's written by a Jewish guy, so I'll leave it at that. And it's only the first 5 books of the Bible. It's the foundation of the Bible. It's the creation story and the world's first law. So it is it's an amazing book. Highly recommend you check that book out.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It looks like. Yeah, it looks like right up my alley. Like I said, in my background of IT, I do like to kind of take apart the Bible, and it's one of the things that kind of, especially like when you read the history of like the canon and Roman Catholicism, and how a council of flawed men decided what's going to go into the Bible. That's when I kind of realized that I think my parents were too hooked on the Book of Revelation, because there were a lot of other works that came out during that time that were very similar language, and I was like, I don't think this should have been in the Bible, Mom and Dad, but what do I know?
Right.
My dad's a teacher, so he's very well studied, so like he's debating him, especially as a child, is like a final boss, Dark Souls moment. You're just like, oh, I'm going to try again this time and hopefully not die instantly. And
Right.
but yeah, no, I really appreciate your work, man. Like, it's actually funny. I was a huge fan of yours back in like 2011, 2012 when I was in the cult. And I got like sneak peeks of you. I thought you were like the funniest person I've ever seen. This is like my first exposure to YouTube. And then I see you streaming like self-help, and I'm like, what is going on here? What good work is he doing? And like oh. Maybe I should call. So
I'm glad you did.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you're doing. It's such a neat project. And it really kind of helped me articulate some things, and I got some great advice from you. I really appreciate it.
Well, I wish you the best on your journey. You're certainly going through a lot. You're in the thick of it. You're 29. These are the years where this kind of stuff is heaviest. Because I like to say you spend your 20s figuring out who you are in light of how you were raised, and then you spend your 30s implementing that in your professional life and in your personal life. And then I've heard, I'm not in my 40s yet, but I've heard that you spend your 40s and 50s reaping the benefits of a successful implementation of all of that. And so my point is that, like, I'm really glad to hear that you are in such a good place mentally and that you haven't thrown the baby out with the bathwater. I do think a lot of people throw the baby out with the bathwater when they grow up in an extreme scenario like that, especially a cult. I'm not here to tell anybody what religion they should be part of. I'm not interested in knowing, unless it's like relevant to the story. We try not to get too political or religious here, because you know, I don't. It's not my job to tell people what they should do. But my point is that, like, what I hear from you is that you grew up in a lot of stuff that was really confusing, and you were able to take the good things that you were raised. You were able to identify some healthy things you were raised with, even though the rest of it was crazy. You were able to leave an unhealthy situation and not throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, like, you know what, these number of things were not good for me, but like these other things were actually pretty good. And you were able to do that while being jettisoned from your parents' house and starting your own career on your own. It sounds like you're good at what you do, and so I just want to applaud you. I'm not sure if you'll hear this or not, but we're going to give you some applause because I think that's amazing. I don't know if it's going through the phones or not tonight, but there's some applause. That's for you.
Thank you so much, man. I think that means the world back to me.
I think your story is amazing. By the way, were you able to hear that just now? That would help me to know.
Yeah, I have it. I have you on the TV in the background, so it's like the other room is applauding me.
No, you didn't hear it on the phone, but you heard it in the room.
Much. Yeah.
Okay, good to know. I'll look into why it's not on the phone. That's helpful to know. Thank you so much for calling and sharing. Wishing you the best. I hope you enjoy those books. If you prefer to read the audiobook, there is one on Audible or wherever you get your audiobooks, but I would recommend reading Who Wrote the Bible. But the audiobook is 9 hours long, so it is a long book. If you'd rather listen to it, that is there now. I thought that was a worthwhile project, so it's up. But again, like, please read it. I like to joke I've read that book more than anybody because I read it 3 times through, and then I read the audiobook. So there's nobody alive who has read Who Wrote the Bible more than me, including the author. That's my joke. That's my joke.
That's awesome. I really appreciate it. I'm going to have to read it now. Like, I'm obligated. I'm locked in.
It's an amazing book. So amazing. Thank you so much for calling, and wishing you the best. Take care of yourself. And call again anytime.
Thank you for having me. Stay awesome.
Good night. All right, guys. That was a beautiful stream. Wonderful stream. You guys are amazing. Again, if you missed the announcement at the beginning, we are now going to go down to 2 times a week, at least for the time being. Here on Anonymous Live, we are going to do away with Sundays just for the time being. There is so much happening on this channel right now. I need my Sundays back, at least for the time being. My hope is that it's just temporary and that we can reintroduce the Sunday stream eventually. But for the time being, in order for me to bring you other things here besides Anonymous Live, because so much of my time is going into Anonymous Live right now, we need to take Sundays. I need my Sundays back, at least for now. So this Sunday, we will not be doing Anonymous Live. I will see you guys again on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. I don't have the date in front of me, but this coming Tuesday, it's Thursday now, at 10 p.m. Eastern, same time, 7 p.m. Central. Sorry, 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central. Too many time zones I'm keeping in my head. You guys are amazing. Thank you to the chat for the amazing thoughts. The chats here are always a huge resource for the callers to revisit after the calls. Big shout out to our mods. Our mods are amazing here. Our mods are so high quality, are they not? Can we have a round of applause for our mods? We love our mods. Our mods are amazing people. We have selected some amazing mods here. They are amazing. I love them. Shout out to Deanna Krebs and Offcore. We had them tonight in the chat. I believe that was just the 2 of you. And yes, the mods have been so patient. There are so many things that should have been implemented here to make their jobs easier that they are waiting on. Goodness gracious. Let's applaud them again. Thank you, guys. All right, everybody. Have a great night. I will see you on Tuesday. Have a great rest of your week. And keep your eyes peeled. There's some stuff coming. There's some stuff happening here. Keep your eyes peeled. See you soon. Good night.